Hey guys, this is Tor from TC. I'm hanging out with a bunch of great guitar players and YouTubers here at GuitCon in Germany, and I'm here now with Phil McKnight. We just did a tone print, a really awesome one, and I figured we'll just spend a little time chatting about guitars and stuff like that. And first thing I'd like to know is, when did you pick up the guitar, and was there certain bands or artists that inspired you to do so?
Sure. I picked up the guitar on accident. I got my Motley Crue album, and I thought Nikki Sixx was the coolest guy I ever seen, and I didn't know he played bass. So I went down to the store and bought a guitar. The only thing that's funny about that is I read a book recently, and Nikki Sixx went into a Guitar Center and stole a bass. He thought he was taking a guitar, and it was a bass. So he
did the other way around.
He did the other way around. So he's a bass player because he thought he was getting a guitar, and I'm a guitar player because I thought I was getting a bass, or I thought he was a guitar player. So so I started playing the guitar, and then I switched to bass. So I play bass a lot.
Yeah.
But as a bass player, you kind of fall in love with a bass. Yeah. And you play that one bass. Yeah. And I kind of feel like I'm not in the party then. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I do guitar as well because I love the guitars. I love experimenting. Yeah. You know what I mean? Guitar players get a palette that is so fun when it comes to gear. Yeah. Right? All the pedals, all the amps, all the guitars. They're not looking for one sound. They're looking for many sounds, and it's just fun. Yeah. So that's what started it.
So Nikki Sixx was the first guy.
Yep.
And in terms of, I'm thinking your YouTube channel, which covers gear and pedals and
everything,
all this stuff, and it's a really great resource for checking out both new and old things that are out there. Yeah. Why did you start that thing up?
So here's why I started it up. There's a lot of reasons, but I don't want to take too long doing it, but I'll give you the core of it, which matters. So I opened a guitar store, and I had it for 12 years.
Where's that?
In Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, this is McKnight Guitars. So, when you sell guitars, when you sell gear, it's great because you're selling what you love, you're interacting with people. But you start noticing that a lot of musicians buy gear, as a habit.
Yeah.
Right? And when you watch gear reviews, right, it gets everybody excited about gear and they buy gear. Yeah. Okay. So I came up with the know your gear is the idea of, well, maybe not everything is about a new piece of gear. Maybe you should learn about the gear. Yeah. Maybe instead of buying 6 compressors and telling me one compressor is good and one's bad, maybe you should learn about compressors. Yeah. Optical, right? FET compressors. Yeah. So through interacting with people, I started noticing that they knew things, like they knew how a pedal, but they didn't know why a pedal was made to have a certain sound. And so on the channel, I actually do this on purpose. I will not do gear reviews in a row. So if I review a piece of gear, there's a gear. And then the next one's an education on gear. Yeah. So it's not about highlighting a new piece of gear. It's about talking about a current piece of gear that you might have back in time, how to use it. And then talking about how to maybe, like I did one where you can glue some picks with some hot glue and make a little project for yourself. Yeah. Because you want to share your passion for this. But you also don't want people to forget that it's about music, and it's also about learning how to do stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And doing that, were there certain moments, during those years that you've been doing that, where you've kind of, wait, I'm onto something here. Things are picking up.
Yeah, there was. For me, the moment I noticed that everybody was paying attention was the first time somebody says, "Hey man, you need to get a better camera," and I was like, "Oh, why?" Because they're like, "You have like 1 million views on this," and I'm like, "Oh, is that a big deal?" Like I didn't know because you're growing, and I wasn't paying attention. So it's cool, and I'm glad that I can. And mostly, what I'm glad about is I get to interact with so many people now, and I get to come up with ideas, that are not just buy the new greatest thing. Yeah. And it's fun. And I think I like everybody to educate themselves more.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good thing that, because a lot of the gear you have, you tend to find one spot for it and then you just leave it there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like you're only scratching the surface of what this thing can actually do.
Right. You know, actually, I stole the idea. I probably should say that. So, well, not really. I borrowed it. We're musicians. We borrow ideas, right? I was watching a rig rundown, and the guitar player for Fish was... Trey. Yeah, Trey. He said this thing. That's what started the inspiration. Yeah. They said he was using a Mesa Boogie head and a homemade 212 cabinet he made with his roommate in his apartment. And they asked him, they said, "Oh, do you like it?" And he says, "I've been using it forever." He goes, "I think it's better to know how to use what you have than get something you know." And I thought, yeah, like you should know your gear. You should know how to use the stuff you have. So I ask it all the time to people I interact with when they say, "Oh, I just got rid of the thing and I got this new thing." And I go, "Yeah, do you feel like you really understood everything you could about what you had before you got rid of it?" And a lot of people, I think that catches them off guard because I'm like, you know, a lot of musicians use stuff because they're comfortable with it more than how good it sounds. Yeah. Right, and I think that's important. Yeah.
So any cool things you have up your sleeve for, you know, future videos and stuff you do? Yeah,
of course. Well, being at GuitCon, the one thing I decided to do was, since there's so many amazing YouTube channels here, I interacted with a lot of them for videos, and figured out how to get as much as so all the great amazing guitar players here, I convinced them all to give me a guitar lesson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Right. If you're gonna meet great musicians. Yeah. You know, you can pick their brain as much as you can,
free
right?
Guitar lessons with some of the best players in the world. What's not to like?
So there's going to be a lot of videos coming from this for that, and other gear channels, and I pick their brains. Everybody I could. I'm really like, cool. Again, I want to know my stuff, right? So I'm taking the opportunity here to learn as much as I can.
Oh, that's really cool. So, well, thanks so much for taking the time to do the interview and make that really cool tone print. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.